Hey there everyone, and welcome to another video. I'm Dr. Gale. I'm glad you could join us today. So eventually throughout our careers we're going to end up doing a lot of good individual tasks, but there's a point where we're probably going to need some help. Now, we all are awesome individuals, we know we are, but again, even the most awesome of us are going to need some help at some point. So how do we go about finding that help? So we might have a situation where we are a little boy wizard, but the little boy wizard also needs the friends to finish out finding the Horcruxes. Even a master needs an apprentice, or maybe even two. And even Captain America needed Falcon at some point, and even possibly needed these guys in order to save the world. So again, no matter how awesome we are, or we think we are, whatever, we are going to be able to accomplish a lot of things on our own, but we need an extra community to help us out. So that's what we're going to talk about today. We've got twofold. We're going to talk about how to go about finding the resources to build up that community that will help us out. And also, I've just proven to my wife that buying Legos is not a problem because I've been able to incorporate them into a lecture. That means it's work, not play. So two things we're going to accomplish here, but really what we're looking at is what is the purpose of learning communities, development communities, and how do we go about finding those for our profession. So with that being said, let's go ahead and take a look at what we're going to try and cover in this lesson. One of the things we want to try and cover is we want to talk about the purpose behind these communities. Why have they been developed? Why are they existing? Why would we even want to join them? And that's going to lead into what the second objective we're looking at is, what are the benefits of us joining these? Are they just sitting out there and it's something for us to go and do, or are there some actual benefits that make it worth our time? Lastly, I want to make sure that we look at some that are available for K-12 educators, especially those that are in the ed tech side. And then I want to look at some that are available for higher ed and professionals, especially if you're looking at instructional design or the ed tech side. So we're going to look at all those as we go. But let's go ahead and start talking about what the purpose of a learning community is. So the purpose behind these learning communities is multifolded. First, it's an area where we can start exploring new innovation. You've got a lot of like-minded people in the same fields that are exploring different avenues of that field. So whether you're talking ed tech, learning theory, instructional design, whatever, you've got a lot of brains that are looking at different ways that that stuff can be impacted. So all of a sudden innovation is happening all over the place in those fields. And it's something you may not be able to study, say like gamification inside of instructional design, but somebody else is, so you can look at their reports, their research, the things that are coming in, listen to them at conferences, and start picking up little elements of that where you wouldn't have time to go and do the full-blown research yourself. So innovation is really a spurring catalyst in having these organizations go. Then you also have just inspiration behind it. I mean, you start hearing these people talk, again, you're working with people of like minds, all of a sudden you guys are brainstorming and collaborating, you're seeing the possibilities of the field, these new things that are happening, and you can start taking that into your classroom as well and into your side of the profession and just start doing incredible things. And it's all because you were inspired by seeing and hearing these other individuals of like mind in the same area that you are. Also, what you can get is assistance on some of these things. So if you're really struggling on an aspect of the technology in your course, maybe you can start building out a community of people where they're all in this ed tech development group. Now you can reach out to them and say, hey, I don't know how to get this smartboard. I've been trying to get this lesson to work on the smartboard. It's just not coming across like I want. All of a sudden you've got a whole bunch of other smart, like-minded people that may have tried the same thing and figured out a way to do it. So they can assist you on trying to get some of these design principles implemented or the tech principles implemented, all these type of things. And that also leads to networking in the long run. A lot of these organizations were built so that you guys will start building out a network of like-minded professionals. You've got designers here. A lot of times if you are a designer or really heavy into the ed tech in your school or school district, you guys will end up being the only designer in that school or the only tech person in that school, or maybe there's only two of you. All of a sudden now you join these professional development communities, you've got hundreds and hundreds of these people that are, again, like mind, same professions as you. You really get a chance to start brainstorming together with people that may think a little bit different, but at least they're in the same ballpark as you. Also, if you know you need some career progression advice, things like that, you know, teachers and stuff can help you while you're going throughout your academic career, but once you get into the workforce, unless you get a mentor or something, you're kind of having to do that on your own. Now all of a sudden you've started building, again, a network of people that have gone through the same route, the same path as you, and they can always help you out on the career advice or maybe even finding a job if you need to switch jobs at some point. So there's a lot of reasons that these things were built, but let's go ahead and look at the individual benefits behind them that will directly impact you if you decide to join some of these learning communities. So again, playing off of the purposes, there are a lot of benefits to joining some of these development communities. The first one, like I mentioned multiple times up there, is you have professional interaction. You have people of like mind that you can brainstorm with, you can get inspired by, you can work with, and it just takes you to a new level of your skill set. So I mean, again, if you're working on these projects and you're the only designer or ed tech person in your school, you're going to be able to get the job done, but eventually it's going to start getting a little bit boring because you're going to end up having to do a lot of the same things over and over, and there's just nobody to really talk to that understands exactly what it is you're looking for. They'll know general concepts, but they don't really get it. They're not in that field. Now all of a sudden you've got this development community that you built with networking on the side. You can start talking with the other professionals, see what's happening in the other schools, all that kind of stuff. All happens because of a professional interaction you get when you join these communities. You get to know other people like you. The other thing that you can get out of this is you start learning the current trends, because you will just not have enough time in the long run to go out there and figure out what the new tech coming in is, or the new teaching theory coming out is, or the new just trend that the school systems are going to. You're going to know a little bit about that just because you're living in that world, working in it, but you're not going to know the full picture, and you're not going to be able to get ahead of the curve unless you have a way to study those. Well, again, everybody in these development professions are looking at different avenues of these things. They're bringing it all back to a central point, like a conference or a journal or something like that that you can subscribe to, a blog, anything like that, where you can start seeing what they are starting to see over there. Like, hey, all of a sudden online education is on a rise, or we're going to have to go more to hybrid. This is what this school district's doing. This major school district over here just bought this software. That looks like the future. All of these things are things that are being studied inside of these development communities, and you can get those little tidbits of information when you go to a conference or subscribe to their blog or go and get one of their journals, that you wouldn't have time to go out and study each one of these avenues on your own to understand them. Now again, if you think one of these sounds like it's legit and all of a sudden it's going to take off, you have the professional interaction they wrote and they're presenting at this conference for this organization you're in. You now have that contact to be able to reach out to that person and really talk to them about, okay, is this something that's happening? I think it's going to be the way of the future. How do I get ahead of the curve? All that kind of stuff. So you will learn more about what is coming and what is happening in your field if you're able to join into these professional development organizations, and then all of a sudden you start getting in contact with these individuals that are in it with you. Also, it's going to help build up your skill set. And not only learning these things through a lot of reading and going to the conferences, watching some of their webinars, you're going to start having professional development opportunities where these organizations start building out workshops and things. So you can get, again, ahead of the curve on some of the new skills and some of the new theories and things that are coming out. So all of a sudden, instead of you having to go and get a book and read through it, maybe a couple of books, having to put all that information together, instead they've already done that for you, and they set up like a 4-day workshop or something that you take online, but you can't get into the workshop unless you join the organization. So again, a lot of this is benefits that help you get into the to these professional development opportunities by joining the organization. So not only do you get to build up your skill set in this, but you also get to build up your name, your reputation. So eventually, you know, starting in the career, you're going to end up being on the low end of the totem pole. You're going to have to learn a lot of things. You're going to have to build up that knowledge base, the skills, again, all that stuff we've been talking about. But you will gravitate as you move throughout your career, hopefully to a point where you now are the expert and you're feeding back to the people that are just starting out in their career. So in order to do that, you're going to have to start doing presentations. You're going to have to go to conferences. You're going to have to be that person that's the assistant on this professional development community, where all of a sudden they're asking you how to make that smart board work with the lesson in the classroom. As you're building that, you're in these organizations where it gives you the opportunity to do presentations, the opportunity to do publications, the opportunities to write on blogs. It gives you the opportunity to set yourself up as that professional. So once you end up getting towards the end of your career and you want to retire out, you still have this community that you can feed back to and mentor as these new people are starting to come back. When you end up becoming the expert, you end up getting a lot more benefits and privileges out of that, but you don't get that unless you get into these communities where it allows you to build up your resume, build up your name, so that you basically are known as an expert in that field. Doing these professional development communities gives you that ability to, if not only the only track to get you up there, it allows you to at least speed line that track so you can get there faster. So with that being said, I keep saying all these things about the communities, what their purposes are, why I think you guys should join some of these. I'll say some of these end up costing you money when you join them. So do you have to join every organization out there? No. Find out which one fits for you. If they are free and you can get some of the resources from them, so again, you can stay on top of those current trends, I would recommend going ahead and signing up for them for free. But again, if they're all pay ones and you don't have the funds to be able to do that, find one or two that fit you and then really build yourself up within that professional development community, because a lot of them are really large at this point anyways. So as long as you get with one or two, it shouldn't be a problem with that. Now, I keep saying all these. What are some of these organizations that we can join up with? Well, let's go ahead and take a look at some of the K-12 ones real fast, and then we'll look at some of the higher ed ones. So the K-12 ones, there are a lot of them out there. All you have to do is a quick Google search, looking up either like EdTech professional communities, K-12 professional development communities, anything like that. But the big ones in the EdTech area are going to be some of them like ISTE. AECT is another big one. These are all, again, ones that have publications out there. They have conferences you can go to. They've got the communities you can just join up, read the blogs, interact with. AACE is another one. And outside of ACCE, they also have a subsidiary called SITE, which is specifically dealing with tech ed. That's another good one to join up with if they have a lot of conferences and things that go internationally and pulling things in. So those are 4 really good ones that you can sign up for K-12 if you decide to. Again, all you got to do is kind of type in those acronyms and look up professional development. So like say ISTE, professional development, and it will pull you up to what their website is. On your higher ed side, you also have a bunch of them. Now, higher ed is going to look a little bit at ed tech. And they can always filter back down to some of those ed tech ones that were mentioned in the K-12 area. But what higher ed is going to look at are things like instructional design, instructional technology, a lot more of that kind of stuff where it's more of on a larger global basis rather than just kind of things that are happening in an individual classroom. And it's just because of the differences between K-12 and higher ed. So on the higher ed side, you've got, in professional development too, you've got things like ATD, the Association for Training and Development. That one's really big in instructional design for professional and corporate entities. Then you have things like EDUCAUSE, which is a bulk ed tech things that are happening in higher education. So it can be a full gambit of, you're really like into the computers and the programming and the heavy coding side versus security, all the way down to, no, this is the thing that I want to do in the classroom. That one's a very global organization that has a bunch of tangents on it. So anything you want to do or look up related to technology in higher education, EDUCAUSE is a good one for you to go to. Then you have Online Learning Consortium, which is OLC. OLC is very much more into the, again, instructional design side, but it focuses more on higher ed, where ATD did a lot more of corporate design. Then you have things like Quality Matters, which is really focused not only on instructional design, but it's on how to make sure that online courses that are built are up to high quality for everybody that's taking them. So again, those are just 4 of them. There's a ton other ones out there, journals, publications, conferences, just general professional development organizations for instructional technology, education technology, instructional design out on the higher ed and professional development side. So again, just Google any of those type of terms and you'll find a ton of different organizations. Even like a lot of colleges and universities will set up their own organizations and start building them out, just because the field is so ripe with innovation and stuff that there's just a lot of people that are looking for that type of thing. But those are some for the higher education side and some of the K-12 side we talked about earlier. So hopefully out of this, if nothing else, I've talked you into there are benefits and purposes behind having these professional development communities. Hopefully you'll see some of those and you guys will be able to go ahead and sign up for some of them. Again, if they're free, go ahead and sign up for them if nothing else, because you start building out that networking. If they're paid ones, try and look up the ones that you think really are geared more towards what your interests are. You can do that by looking at some of their original articles, some of the things that are out on their front websites. But all you need to do is join 1 or 2 of them that would be paid. I wouldn't go more than that, because then you're just overkill and paying for nothing that you honestly probably wouldn't have time to join anyways. But you definitely want to try to get at least involved with 1 of these, if not 2 of these, and just start building up again your skill set, your names, and your networking. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up, and I hope you guys got some stuff out of this. If you guys need anything or have any questions on it, feel free to reach out to us. Otherwise, feel free to hit the subscribe button. We're always trying to make more videos like this that will help you guys with your skill sets and building things in the future. If you have ideas on other videos, ed tech or instructional design related, please let us know. We'll go ahead and make some of those too. And what we're trying to shoot for again in the end is to make sure that you've got the skills and the knowledge that you need to make the best educational environment possible for your students throughout their academic career. So with that, I hope you guys have a good day, and thank you for joining us today.